Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading for the next 3 months, October, November, December of 2025. You start here with this card that says, watch your words. You also have this card that says, turn knowledge into wisdom. It's really funny because your opposite sign, Leo, always gets this card, watch your words. And so it could be a good time to definitely watch how you talk to yourself and all that other stuff. Wouldn't worry too much about the tower because pretty much everybody has had the tower. So, we are definitely going to see many global tower moments. I've been talking about it for years and basically haven't been wrong. So we're going to see many of those things going on in the world. And yeah, just it is what it is. So there you go. Your first row, we are going to look at the 3 main themes that you are going to be dealing with over the next 3 months. So each card is going to be its own theme. The Tower obviously is your first card. So you could be number 1. Like I kind of do feel like you are feeling the world a little bit here, Aquarius, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. It could be if you allow it to consume your life, right? Like if all you ever think about is bad stuff, then that could be a little bit of a challenge. And that kind of goes along with the whole watch your words thing, right? So I would be doing that. It wouldn't surprise me if you were going through like a significant change either over the next few months. I think we all are, of course. The other thing to think about is Uranus and Gemini. Uranus will be retrograding into Taurus in November, but Uranus and Gemini causes a lot of disruption and shakeups. It's kind of funny because Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, and Uranus loves Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, but Uranus loves being there. But it is, I think that it is a little bit of a shakeup, for all of us in the collective, of course, until 2033. So, we're going to be dealing with this energy. Now, do I think it's bad? No. Really, it's going to be good. I think it's going to lead to a lot of freedom, probably a lot of correction as well. So, it's not necessarily a bad thing. On a personal level, it can feel a little bit shaky. And I'm not going to sugarcoat the Tower. I feel more of a shakiness here on this card for you, Aquarius. I feel that some of you might have moments where you feel out of sorts over the next few months, but it's not in a bad way. It's I feel like you're just doing things you've never done before, and that could be where the shakiness comes from. And again, I'm telling you this so you can work with the energy, right? And so I don't just allow this to happen. It's if you notice that you're working on something new and it just doesn't feel right, maybe you need to just work with it a little longer, or maybe that's a clue to you that you need to learn more about whatever you're doing so you can get more comfortable with it, or maybe you need to ask for help on something, right? And all those things are kind of popping into my head with this Tower card. You have the 3 of Swords. I feel like you're healing heartbreak. We actually have good love cards here for you, Aquarius. So for a lot of you, you could be healing a lot of old heartbreak issues or challenges. This is also something that has been very common with the collective, and it makes sense. The day that I publish this video, September 21st, I'm recording it on the 20th, we have the Virgo eclipse, and we have the South Node in Virgo as well. It's all about healing these past issues and kind of removing those swords from your heart, right? With the 3 of Swords, we have to practice forgiveness. That's the trick with the 3 of Swords. And so that is definitely a theme that you could be working with over the next few months. Next, you have the Page of Cups, so new love could be coming in for you. It could be a surprise with the Tower showing up here as well. I feel like you could be kind of attracting a person that brings you into a new reality. The Tower is just about entering into new reality. Those people on the card have been ignoring reality, and they're choosing to enter into new reality here. And so I feel that you could almost be meeting a person that kind of shakes up your worldview, and maybe in a good way. Maybe this leads to some positive changes. One other thing I want to talk about on the Tower here is the person in the red is choosing to dive out of the tower. This guy here has realized the tower's on fire, I need to leave the situation. And so if there are kind of gives me that rip the band-aid off type of feeling here, Aquarius. So if there's anything that that you should be leaving or that you should cut out, it's the faster you can do it, probably the better, right? And so that's also popping into my head with that card. But let's see what comes up. With the Tower, you have the 6 of Pentacles. Yeah, it's you need to look at the investments of things. As in, I feel like the Tower is encouraging you with the Six of Pentacles to leave anything that is breadcrumbing you, basically. You know, the Six of Pentacles is equal give and take, but sometimes we have to be honest about situations we're involved in, and if you're not getting something from the situation, then maybe it's time to leave, right? And I'm not just talking about love, I'm talking about everything. You know, you could be realizing that your job isn't paying you enough, or, you know, something else. It's like you're facing a reality that something isn't enough and that you have to make the change, and that's what I feel like you're doing here. With the Three of Swords, you have the Death card. Yes, big changes for sure. You know, it's kind of impossible to not change during eclipse season. So, you know, at least something, even if it's small. So a lot of you are, you know, this is just talking about the changes that you're making. One thing I do feel is, you know, he has this white rose right here on his banner, and that white rose kind of represents the light at the end of the tunnel and getting to the end of something that has maybe been causing him issues. So again, he is maybe, you know, kind of deciding that he needs to learn how to get his cameras to focus, right? Or he's needing to... As I say that, he needs to go towards that light at the end of the tunnel. And I wish I could describe that better, how I feel about that for you, Aquarius, because it's like saying, you know, it's almost like saying there are solutions to things that you've been dealing with, and all you have to do is like go towards the light, right? So there you go. With the Page of Cups, you have the Hierophant. The Hierophant can be blessings coming in for you, number one. Like this guy here, he's blessing these two people in front of him. It's also a card of initiation. He is initiating these two people into his belief system. I do feel that for you here, Aquarius, that it's almost like you are being initiated into something. You have Pluto in your sign for the next 20 years, basically. And Pluto is very powerful. Pluto is power. You know, it is like where you get your power. It is how you use power in your life and all that other stuff. So, you know, again, a lot of you could be working on those themes for the next many years of power and like how you use your power in the world and how you use it to like lead other people and things like that. That's popping into my head. The other thing that I would practice here is thinking outside the box or using outside the box solutions. Again, definitely until, you know, we have Uranus and Gemini until 2033. It's going to retrograde right now into Taurus, then it's going to move in next year back into Gemini, and then it actually moves forward into Cancer in 2032 for a very short period of time, then it retrogrades back into Gemini until 2033. So between now and then, we all, you know, need to come up with outside-the-box solutions, outside-the-box situations, different ways of doing things. People who do that are just going to be very successful much faster. And, you know, that's what I would be doing is like coming up with unique ideas or unique approaches to whatever you're working on. We're doing something different in your next row. In your next row, we're going to look at anything you don't see coming. You have this angel card that says divine messenger, guide, and protection. You have this war card that says internal conflict and emotional regulation. I feel a lot of internal conflict for a lot of people. You know, so like I feel this is a very common energy that could be affecting you right now. So number one, I would definitely tap in spiritually. I think we all need to do that. We have Neptune, you know, back into Pisces in October, and it'll be there until January of next year. And so between now and then, I think it's really important that we tap in, you know, in any way that we possibly can, you know, meditating, you know, whatever it is for you. The other thing with the emotional or this internal conflict, emotional resolution type energy here is again, I think we need to face those internal conflicts that we're having. In some ways, like some of the things that we don't want to do might be the solution for us. You know, it's like about leaving comfort zones, and that's what I would encourage you to do with this card. You have the Eight of Pentacles. I feel like you could be improving your finances. Number one, I feel like I'm pretty sure I've said this to specifically you, Aquarius, before, but I think it would be an amazing time to like look at your prices. Like, you know, if you offer services or if you have a business, I would be raising my prices or something like that. The Eight of Pentacles is also like saying you are very close to accomplishing something. He only has one more pentacle to complete before he is done. Right? And so I feel a lot of you could be almost done with something that will benefit you financially, and I would keep putting the work in. You know, the Eight of Pentacles is also material success on the horizon. You know, it kind of says like the work that you're doing now will pay off in the future. And, you know, I feel that should be, you know, I feel like intuitively I need to say to you that should motivate you. Because I feel like some of you maybe are a little bit too worried about the future. It's like sometimes I think we can get worried about like where things are going, or if we'll even have a business in the future or whatever. And I feel like this is saying like, don't worry about it. You will, and just like put in the work now, because you'll be happy that you did in the future. I also feel, I'm getting a lot of messages here. The other thing is, sometimes I think we become successful in life and then we want to start something new, but it's like we're up here, and it's like if we start something new, we're down here. Like if I were to start a brand new YouTube channel, right? It's like, this channel is up here, obviously. I would be down here starting something new. And it's like, thinking about that, it's like, man, I'd have to put in all this work to get this new thing back up. You know what I'm saying? Some of you, I feel, could be feeling like that, especially if you're thinking about starting something new. I think you're thinking too much about starting from scratch, but I feel like what you need to realize is that you're starting from a place of knowledge and wisdom. You have that wolf spirit that says turn knowledge into wisdom. It's like, really, you're not starting down here. You're starting like up here, like much closer to where you are right now, because you know a lot more. And I feel like you need to know that with that card. You have the Seven of Wands. I feel the more committed you are to whatever it is that you're doing, the more successful it will be. It doesn't matter if it's your health, wealth, happiness, love, whatever. The Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It can represent a lot of different things. It can represent putting up boundaries. It can represent feeling like you're not ready. But I feel for you intuitively that it's more saying that the more committed you are to whatever you're trying to be successful at, the more likely it is to be successful. So I think it would be a great time for you to like brainwash yourself into believing and knowing that something you're going to work on is going to work. Like the more committed you are to that feeling, the more likely that is to be true. So I definitely like that. I do feel it's a good time to work in silence here as well with the Eight of Pentacles and Seven of Wands. This would kind of say like, let your results speak for themselves. It might be a good time to not tell anyone in your life what you're doing. I always say, if we tell people our ideas and they hate on our ideas, then we won't do it. So I feel it's saying like, keep things to yourself. You have the Ten of Cups, which is great. Ten of Cups is fortune after difficulty, happy home, happy family. So, and there is a little bit of love here. So if you want love, definitely could be attracting a solid person. But I feel like a lot of you are going to have a lot, like what you don't see coming is that you're going to have a lot of reasons to celebrate, and mostly in work, for those of you that work or have a business or whatever. Even if you're retired, like if you're working on a personal project or something, I feel there are going to be a lot of reasons to celebrate. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Devil. The Devil's kind of funny because the Devil says, don't just work to work, basically, with that Eight of Pentacles. The Devil is, of course, toxic vibes. It can represent an energy vampire or something that's stealing your energy. But on a work card like the Eight of Pentacles, it would be more about making sure that what you're doing is efficient, making sure that you are doing the right things to create success. And it also would represent needing to balance the work with play. So I think it would be a great time for you to make sure that you're having playtime, fun time, family time, friend time, all that other good stuff, right? You're not just you're not just being controlled by work. I also feel like some of you, that's what you are trying to escape. You know what I mean? I do feel a lot of people right now could be seeing the prison that they've created for themselves, basically. And, a lot of you, I feel, could be trying to escape some sort of prison. It doesn't even have to be work. It could be anything that requires work, like a relationship. If you're in a relationship where you're the one that's doing all the work, then maybe that's a problem. And I'm not even saying you have to leave the connection, right? I always tell people, it's like, we don't necessarily have to leave. We can talk to the person about it. And if they fix it, great. You found a person who's willing to work on the relationship, which is like impossible nowadays to find a person like that. So if you do, then you probably shouldn't leave because you found a person that actually puts in the work or is willing to. So again, we don't necessarily have to leave these situations. We can work on correcting them. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Strength card. A lot of strength energy right now. Probably the eclipse that we're having in Virgo on the 21st. Again, eclipses last for up to 6 months after, at least. And we're in the Pisces-Virgo eclipse cycle until 2027. We're going to have a Virgo eclipse in 2027. And that's the last eclipse in this Pisces-Virgo eclipse cycle. So really, this is an energy we'll be dealing with for a while. And the Strength card is about working on your inner strength. This is your inner voice, and she's taking control of it. The other thing I'm getting is like, I feel it would be an amazing time for Aquarius to put on displays of strength, as in like people are seeing her put her hands in this lion's mouth. Like, who in the right mind would stick their hands in a lion's mouth? The answer is nobody. So doing hard things, I know that doesn't sound fun, but these are going to get you good results. Like building a business is hard, but it could lead to a great result in the future. That's like one example. But doing hard things, doing these displays of strength will probably benefit you a lot. With the Ten of Cups, you have the Page of Swords. Some of you are a little bit curious about love, I feel, or you're curious about something in love. And I would follow your curiosity if you want it. I would go for it there, Aquarius. Next, we're going to look at any challenges you have to overcome. I forgot to say, make sure to leave a like and drop a comment on this video. It really helps me out. Again, any challenges that you need to overcome. You have this Prosperity Lies Ahead card and this card that says it's time to release negativity. Yeah, it's much easier to be negative, right? I once heard Casey Neistat, a YouTuber, say that he doesn't really worry about mean comments, speaking of comments, because, basically it's very easy to be mean, but it's hard to be positive, right? Or it takes thought to leave a nice comment. And so the same thing goes for yourself. It's very easy to think negatively because we all do it, but it's hard to switch those thoughts into something that is positive, right? So I feel that a lot of you should be looking on the bright side. Definitely prosperity. It's coming up as a challenge here, which is interesting, probably because you are being asked to put on some sort of display of strength. So that could be where the challenge is. But what I would say is that your first card here is the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is a victory, a success. It is the card of fortitude as well, or strength. So a lot of you have the strength, clearly, to overcome some sort of obstacle. And I feel like that's what you're doing. That's like the challenge here. It's not really much of a challenge, though, Aquarius. I feel this is going to be not hard at all, whatever challenge you're overcoming. The sword is above the mountains. But I feel that some of you, this is like, something work related for the most part that this is talking about that you probably will be doing. And it feels more like starting from scratch for me, but you're not. That is the secret here, is that maybe you're thinking about starting something new or moving in a new direction in your career, but it's like you won't be starting from scratch. I feel like that's what you need to realize with this card. The other challenge I'm getting here is that the Ace of Swords can represent laser-like focus. So we have to be focused. The end of the year here, I think, is going to be a little bit of a challenge to be focused. Or, I think the challenge really is motivation. They're just looking at the astrology, according to Chris's crappy astrology here again. I think the challenge for people is going to be getting inspired to do the work. It's like there are things that we know that we probably should do, but getting the energy or getting motivated to do those things is the challenge. And I would challenge you to do those things that you should do, right? Next, you have the Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups is about walking away from things that no longer serve you. It's the only card in the tarot with an eclipse on it. And he is walking away from something. He's walking away from these 8 cups. So the story of the card is that he's walking away from something that does provide him with something, but he knows he would be settling if he stayed in this situation. So the 8 of Cups encourages us to not settle for less than we know we deserve. And also it encourages us to not personally settle as well. Like if you know that you're capable of more success, which I think clearly this reading is saying you are, then the Eight of Cups encourages you to kind of like go for it and make it happen. And, I feel the whole entire reading is basically saying that. You have the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is like feeling left out in the cold. I feel this is future fear is what's popping into my head. Like I feel that some of you could be fearing that if you do, start that business or, do that thing with your life, that you're going to end up, on the streets or, whatever the fear is. Same thing in love. Like you could be worried that if you enter into a connection that it's just going to be like the last one, that the person's just going to leave you or something's going to happen. And so I feel for a lot of you that you need to, the solution to the Five of Pentacles is very easy. It just says you need to focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. And we have all these cards of strength. There are 2 of them, at least here. And I feel like you need to realize how strong you are. Next, we're going to clarify, obviously. With the Ace of Swords, you have the 3 cups. They're like uncomfortable truths, right? 3 cups is other people. And as far as a challenge is concerned, this can say that some people have some truths for you that might hurt, but they could also be the truth, right? So maybe learning from other people could be good, but it could hurt a little bit at the same time. It feels like criticism to me. I'm not like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it here, Aquarius, but like these criticisms are going to lead to growth. So I would be like open to criticism, for lack of a better term. With the 8 of Cups, you have the 9 of Cups. Like stress test. Maybe that's the word that I should be using. Sorry to go backwards here on that 3 Cups and Ace of Swords. If you're working on a project, or if you're like writing a book, or doing something with your life, maybe stress testing it. It's like it could be a pain in the ass for sure, but I also feel like you should. With the 8 of Cups, you have the 9 of Cups, which is actually good because some people say the 8 of Cups is walking towards the 9 of Cups, but the thing with 8 of Cups is he doesn't know. He doesn't even know if he's going to find fulfillment. He's just sending a signal to the universe that he's not willing to settle. But the good news is you have the 9 of Cups, so I think you will find that fulfillment. With the 5 of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Cups. Everybody's challenged right now, for sure. Queen of Cups wants us to follow our heart. We are in a heart-based time. I've been saying this for 2 years now, at least. And we're leaving like a very logical time behind where it's like, oh yeah, you get a career, start a business, do these things, these 3D things, right? And we're entering more into a time where we're going to see people doing things that are more heart-based. Like maybe instead of having a career, they're going to start a YouTube channel talking about worms, if that's their passion, right? Or something like that. But the trick is that's the new way to be successful, is to do something you actually care about, right? And so, but it's also a challenge because we're kind of like, I think we're all a little bit stuck in the past, right? And so that is the challenge I would face with that card. Next, we are going to look at the good stuff. You have this Bearing Fruit card and this Royal You card. Amazing, really. The Royal You card is like a little bit of a glow up. The Bearing Fruit card is abundance. It's saying that the work that you're doing is going to be producing a result. So I do feel that you are either attracting or you are having better results in work, business, and whatever else you're doing. So that's nice. You have the Knight of Cups, the 3 of Pentacles, and the Strength card. Knight of Cups is like a knight in shining armor, so you could be attracting love into your life a little bit. There's like a little bit of love here, so if you want it, it's available to you. With the Ace of Swords and the 3 of Cups, number one, this could be socializing. Could also be social media or like on the internet that you meet a person with the Ace of Swords there. So I don't know, take it how it resonates, but if you want love, definitely could be a connection. Next, you have the 3 of Pentacles standing out for sure. But I think this is all you have to do. Again, it's kind of funny because like the first set of readings I did were complicated, I would say. This set of readings have been stupid simple, right? It's like there's one thing that Aquarius needs to focus on, which is, having the strength to, put their strength on display, right? And he is putting something on display. He's showing his work to these 2 people, and he's getting a lot of credit for the work that he's done. And so I feel that's really what the reading is saying, is that you need to put your work on display. I also feel like you're entering into a more fun time. She has these polka dots on her cloak, and polka dots in the tarot represent needing to have more fun, needing to enjoy yourself more. And so, but it's coming up in the good stuff, so a lot of you could be. I kind of feel like saying you're finally getting credit for work that you've done. So again, if you've been doing work all along and haven't been getting recognition, that could be what this is. You have the Strength card again. So clearly, strength is going to be important. This is internal strength, your own strength, and could be getting you a lot of attention. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Knight of Cups. So a knight in shining armor right here again. And there's really nothing more to add because I already said it, but you could be attracting a knight in shining armor. With the 3 of Pentacles, you have the 9 of Wands. Yeah, I would definitely still protect your work, as in, I wouldn't, like, I think it would be a good time for you to just do your work. Like, you don't have to tell anyone about it. Your results are going to speak for themselves here, Aquarius, and, maybe that's what you should be focused on. With the Strength card, you have the Hangman. Hangman is about new perspectives, and the whole entire reading, we talked about that, like over here, basically, that learning new ways of doing things, or being flexible is kind of like the secret sauce for you fixed signs, for sure, especially with Pluto and Aquarius. I think you're going to feel a lot better when Pluto goes direct in the middle of October. Sorry, I'm going through puberty, my voice cracked, but what I would say here is that, again, I think the middle of October is when you're really going to feel much, much better. We're going to look at anything I missed in this reading. You have this negotiation card. I would say no negotiation, really. This is a good card, but sometimes I feel like the card itself is saying don't negotiate. Even the Eight of Cups is saying don't settle, right? So definitely a time to go for what you want. You have this discrimination card. This is a card of being able to tell the difference between what's right and wrong for you. I think we're all gaining a lot of clarity on like the things that we need to focus on in life, so you probably are. You have this convention card. There you go. I feel we are, Pluto and Aquarius and also Uranus and Gemini is an unconventional time, like unconventional solutions, random ideas, spontaneous energy. Those are the energies we should be embracing. We should be breaking free from convention. Uranus and Gemini is also, it's not really destructive, but it is a kind of, it is innovative, just like Pluto and Aquarius, and, it's rebellion. So we're going to see a lot of new ideas. Next, you have this excitement card. Yes, I think you should be excited for the future. That's what I would focus on if I were you, is, your ideas right now, because I think they will bring a lot of excitement into your life, and it's trying to focus on my eye. But there you go. And finally, you have this versatility card. Like I said, being flexible, being spontaneous, that kind of becoming a Swiss Army knife, like giving yourself more tools in life is what will make you more successful. But pretty straightforward stuff here, Aquarius. Thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, really helps me out, and definitely enjoy your next few months.